Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the members of Hands Up, Server Down re-secure the resort destination of Ebonscale. Statements issued from City Hall indicate that the Hamlet Hot Springs will be operating at full capacity by day's end. Complimentary resources are now available to due-paying members of the Syndicate daily, so swing by as you grab your opulent gifts. And what a wonderful day for an afternoon of Hamlet hopping it is, as the sun continues to shine on well into evening. But citizens should be mindful of a light chance of corruption outbreak occurring later on tonight in the region of Everfall. 3 roster submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPCO. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it's cardboard. First up, the Covenant converts of Hideout assail the Syndicate members of Hands Up, Server Down for control of the completely unpredictable Restless Shore. 2 days ago, it came to pass that the very region itself would win out over both armies, forcing them to reschedule their grievance petition for tonight. But regardless of what mysterious force of the island is behind the recent blackouts along the eastern shorelines, Hands Up, Server Down will stand again, unless the servers go down. Meanwhile, the Marauders of Gorilla Town attack the Covenant converts of Outcast for control of the arid desert region of Brimstone Sands. Sensing an opportunity to strike at the Outcasts on the retreat, Gorilla Town moves swiftly to set up their assault camp to press the advantage. But when the Outcasts get pushed into a corner is when their faith becomes greatest, channeling the spirit of the legendary hero to stand their ground. Meanwhile still, the Syndicate members of Commit assault the Marauders of Dogtown for control of the northern mountain region of Morningdale. The swamp people of Commit, feeling that the swamp wasn't quite wet enough, have marched up to the rain-drenched north, seeking to remain perpetually soaked and mildewed. Dogged Down, presumably prepared for the encounter, after having a pretty well-rested offense 2 nights ago, fall in at the fort to defend their homeland in the north. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Gorilla Town send the Outcasts packing from Brimstone Sands, and the Zealots of Hideout overcome the anarchy in the archipelago and capture the eastern Restless Shore. KOTT News were on the scene all night, starting in Brimstone, where we caught up with the victors. You've now completely removed Outcasts from the island for the time being. How do you feel about your victory tonight over in 16 minutes?
You know, I just got to work and stuff. About it. They put the big boy to work, and that's what happens. I'm lucky.
Well, was there anybody who stood out for you guys tonight? Really stepped up?
Probably Robin. You know, he just, he's not the best Skev, but all he wants to do is play Bruiser. And, we're just gonna keep him on bow.
Moments later, KOTT rushed across the island to speak with the new regional rulers of Restless Shore. Congratulations on your victory out here in the Restless Shore, getting it over with about 10 minutes left to spare. In the Battle of the Boat, you are the victors. Would you care to take us through what went down out there?
Basically, our plan was to run it down mid, and that's what we did. Run it down mid everywhere.
So you took it down mid, and then you went over to A and took it down mid on A, and then you took it down mid on C, and then just went right
Run it down mid. Yes, sir. That's all we do. That is the only strat. It always works. It's perfect.
Well, did anybody stand out tonight?
Yeah, my boy On Ice, as usual, pops off as a shot caller. I'm so proud of him. I could kiss him right now. Where is he? Maybe later.
I'm sure he's around here somewhere. What about this handsome fellow right here? It's a birthday boy.
It's a birthday. Mwah.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Happy birthday, my friend. Congratulations on your victory as well.
Appreciate it.
So you feel a little bit wiser now?
Oh, yeah. A little bit.
Well, Berg, is there anything else that you might want to say to the citizens of Eternum on your birthday?
Watch out for a hideout. That's all I gotta say. And spot it on top.
While on the East Coast, KOTT swung by Greyvale to speak with Dog Down about their successful hold.
This was a really good war. It was matched up pretty evenly, I think. They had a couple really scary pushes. Those guys they're really coordinated and really good.
Yeah, their end forward is strong, man. I didn't expect them to.
And they were just coordinated. It was crazy. They sent like 15 back D gate, and then at the same time they had 15 pushing through C, which meant like the A gate was weak, so they had a few trickling through A, which pulled the flex team off, and like back gates lost. It was really good. Whoever their caller is really on top of it, to be honest.
Mixing it up, giving you different looks.
Yeah, a lot of looks that we don't really see on East, and also just a lot that we just don't really see against a lot of average, like normal companies, right? Like they're definitely that's definitely a hell of a company.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Was there anybody who stood out tonight for you guys that you might want to give a shout out to?
I mean, like our light squads, our decks did like really freaking good. Keeping it PC, of course. We had fire staffs go crazy.
Of course you did.
Just a lot of we secured a lot of kills. Honestly, I think we just got a lot of kills on our healers, which meant that we were able to out sustain them. We definitely need to work on our bruiser core. I think our bruiser core lost a little bit, but we made up for it with our decks and our fire staffs just taking out their healers.
I think between our kill squad groups 9 and 10, we had almost 200 kills. I think group 8 was in there too. They had a couple 20 bombs.
That is a wild comm, Mr. John. That is a wild stat line.
Breaking news out of Morningdale as open world conflict erupts around the fort and assault camp between all factions. Commit, Outcast, Dog Down, and several mercenarial companies were observed in combat across the mountain pass. KOTT News will bring you more on this story as it develops. An easy night for the Invasion Response Squad means an easy afternoon for all you fishing minstrels out for a stroll today. But tonight is the night where it's all hands on deck for a northern cold front giving rise to a 40% chance of corruption invasion. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPCO. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it's cardboard, with special thanks to the craft services crew. If you'd like to support KOTT News, Patreon is currently the best way. Tonight, the Covenant converts of Farmed Off Fresh assail the Marauders of Dogged Down for control of the master fishing swamp delta of Reekwater. Farmed Off Fresh getting their chops in out east, taking their third shot at claiming a region by wading into the swamps of the delta, attempting to secure this resource-rich region. Dogged Down forces coming off their victory last night in Morningdale are feeling confident in their defensive teamwork. But will fighting on back-to-back nights be mentally fatiguing? Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of Dogged Down deny Farmed Off Fresh and retain the master fishing delta region of Reekwater. But for how long is anyone's guess, as multiple factional forces prepared to push influence even before the final horns of battle from the distant fort could be heard. KOTT News were about to speak with Dogged Down leadership when armies began to deploy from Far Harbor.
Damn! Oh, look at all these. Look at all of them out here. Hell yeah.
Dude, they are ready to go.
I know.
Everybody's been waiting for the timer so they can go and start pushing. Commit is down there ready to go. Outcasts have been preparing. They are not messing around, my friend.
Dang, yeah. Purple already has 4%.
Yep, you better look out.
That's crazy. The war just ended.
The Syndicate know how to get things done efficiently, sir.
Guess so.
KOTT went to follow, but not before getting a word from the victors about their fight.
We knew them. We played out with them on a different server, so like we kind of knew like where they were, how many people they had. So they barely merked, and the mercs they did merc like just filled spots. So we just kind of did an in-house v in-house and kind of tried to get people in who normally don't get wars.
Yeah, look, it felt like a comfortable, friendly war, if I'm being honest. I mean, you gave away the C point as one would, and then looked at about 16 minutes, they gave a student body push on Alpha that you had to respond to, and then, you know, that fight until you got to fort phase about 9 minutes, traditional, you know, horns and gates, and 1 or 2 pushes in, and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Everybody got a lot of practice in tonight, I think.
Yeah, that was the whole point of this, was to get people VODs who normally don't war. I'm sure a lot of them got some VODs too, so.
Well, that's awesome, man. Good effort out there. I appreciate that. I'm sure they do as well. Was there anybody who might have stood out that you might not have seen normally?
Yeah, I mean, we had a last minute fill that we had a purple show up. They went fire staff, I think, and they went 40-0, which is a pretty good stat line. But
No, well, are you sure it wasn't Sapo pretended to be somebody else? Moments later, KOTT news crews made haste to Fort Reekwater, anticipating the carnage of what was to come. And as expected, several factional forces were battling for supremacy in and around the Goat-encircled keep. KOTT News will bring you more on this story as it develops, because KOTT News were summoned to volunteer responsibilities with the Invasion Response Squad in Brimstone. Once again, the corruption invasion forces were out in full force, seemingly infused by the spice. But the all-volunteer forces of the Invasion Response Squad were able to fend them all off in all 4 regions. While in Brimstone, KOTT News took a moment to defeat the drum circle nuisance yet again, trying out a new technique with a 100% success rate. Looking at the weather for today, and it's going to be another beautiful day of sunshine and radiance as the sun travels across the Eternum horizon. But be on the lookout after sundown, when the humidity drops and the corruption invasion forces rise up once more across 20% of the island. No submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by Peace, but we'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, though that's not to say there wasn't any action to report on. Non-stop proselytizing by the Covenant has inspired the citizens to encourage an inquisition of the ruling marauders. Sources close to KOTT have indicated there will be a late-night declaration of war following the invasion. For those curious about the redeployment of the fully collapsible temporary suspension bridge, proper maintenance and storage has kept it within tolerances. Returning to our ongoing coverage of the 2nd annual Medley Fair event, be sure to stop by Hamlet Displays to pick up your opulent bestowments daily. And don't forget that the Maestro will bestow additional event reputation if you practice your dance routine in dress rehearsals. Speaking of the Maestro, due to overwhelming interest, personal requests to perform for extra tokens have been restricted in the stage area. In related news, KOTT news crews will be streaming while fishing while the event is ongoing. So pop in and request a news flash for the day. Looking at the weather for today, and since there's a heat advisory ongoing, KOTT news crews will be avoiding the desert storyline and checking the fishing one. But even I will dip out in the evening as the storms come rolling in, causing a light chance of corruption across 30% of the island. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard, with special thanks to the craft services crew. If you'd like to support KOTT News, Patreon is currently the best way. Tonight, the legendary hero worshippers of Outcast attack the syndicate members of Nappies for control of the bamboo forest preserves of Ebonscale Reach. Executing their right to rematch, the powers of Pandacast assemble in the familiar leaves of the bamboo forest, devout in their faith that the Holy Land will be touched by their savior. Conversely, the nappies may be sleeping away the battle, as a group of nappies may be wont to do in the middle of the week on a scorching hot afternoon. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the Outcasts returned to Ebonscale and cast out those whom cast them out before. The payout line was long for this victory as team leaders wanted the army highly motivated during combat. KOTT spoke with Covenant leadership about their outcome and their next moves. Congratulations on your victory here in Ebonscale, executing your right to rematch to perfection, reclaiming the bamboo forest preserves. In the name of Panda, I'm sure. Would you care to take us through how you were able to get into the fort so quickly?
Yeah, to be honest with you, John, I don't know. I don't know how we were able to get into the fort so quickly because, as you know, last weekend we ended up losing 2 territories because Panda wasn't there, right? And Panda wasn't here for this war, so I thought, you know what, it's going to be an immediate L. But you know what? My army did surprise me. They pulled out some good moves, some good point wipes. I like what I saw out there, so it was a pretty good war. I was hoping it would go a little bit longer, maybe a little bit more competitive. Wars against these guys are always super fun, but, happy to have a home again.
Yeah, most definitely. And now that you have a home, you'll be able to start generating a little extra revenue, and maybe you can entice some other members of the Covenant to come and join you again.
Yeah, I think that's just enticed Panda to come back. He's taking a break, but all the money in the treasury is going to Panda if he ever decides to come back.
Well, let me ask you, as I am wont to do, is there anybody out there who stood out in their performance for you tonight?
Yeah, I mean everyone really. I think everyone did a great job. I saw these kill squads putting up a lot of pressure. We're trying some new things in kill squads, so shout out to them. Mm-hmm. People were in the main ball were really crashing point very well. I love to see that. Overall, shout out to the whole roster, man. It's awesome soldier activity out there.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you stopping to talk to me. Unless there's anything else you might like to say to the citizens of Eternum.
I would like to say thank you for Freshbench for giving us a war. Hopefully we could have some more wars against them again. Probably going to be trying out some of these other companies here soon. So shout out to anyone providing content on the server. Appreciate it.
Changing gears to discuss yesterday's fishing expedition live stream, unusual technical difficulties prevented execution, but we will try again later as we improve KOTT Studios' broadcast capabilities. A not-so-unusual monsoon in the proximity of KOTT Studios' actual interrupted transmissions entirely last night, just as an invasion was about to begin. I was a little panicked because KOTT-1 UPS failed to maintain, but the invasion response squad leaders kept a cool head and handled things in natural order. Looking at the weather for today, and once more, the sun will rise and shine at the crack of dawn and carry on until sunset as it does. But citizens should be alert after nightfall when the corruption invasion forces come out across 20% of the island. 2 roster submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. With special thanks to the Craft Services crew. If you'd like to support KOTT News, Patreon is currently the best way. Up first, the Syndicate members of Commit attack the Marauders of Dogged Down for control of the northern mountain region of Morningdale. Anxious to re-establish the northern observation posts and get pictures across the Death Wall, Commit forces try again to secure the rain-drenched region. But Dogged Down forces settle in to repel their assault as they did before, confident in their ability to retain control over the citizenry. Then, the Syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen assault the Marauders of Gorilla Town for crowning kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. An unusual move by the members of JDB stretching out beyond the central corridor, but perhaps sensing a worthy adversary, they advance west to displace the unruly Marauders. Standing ready to defend their hold on the southern peninsula, and with their backs against the bluff, they'll be able to focus entirely on the foe before them. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the members of JDB's Kitchen capture the keep, the crown, and kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. KOTT news crews were on the scene and spoke to JDB leadership after their payouts. Congratulations on your victory in Monarch's Bluff, able to get up the hill and into the keep with about 14 minutes. Would you care to take us through the action and how you were able to get in so fast?
I mean, honestly, it was pretty free. They said they're missing people, but I don't think they were. Maybe they were. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if they hopefully we can organize a good war if they were missing people. But Perry always calling for us. Thanks for the slot, Perry. Everybody knows that. And I mean, honestly, I think the good thing about having this company's a bunch of like real close friends, homies, all this stuff, and I can rely on these people to do their role and not pad and like be a soldier because they care about this company. So the fact I think that we have that, we're not just bringing random people in. At the end of the day, like you can rely on someone and like a good I just think we have soldiers that are going to do their role and play to win. They don't really care about their stats and stuff like that. So I think that was a really big part about winning. Is just everybody on the roster, all 50 people were soldiers. So.
Yeah, certainly JDB, one of the more organized syndicate companies on the island, if not the entire server planet. How are they with splitting time between here and the New World League? Are they able to take care of their responsibilities in both places?
Yeah, me currently, I'm in Espada, and then Dreidel, who's also leadership in JDB, is leadership actually the captain, the gov of Espada. So Dreidel has been pretty busy, but he's managing to do both. Shout out to him. He does a lot of work for both companies. He's also leadership in Dropout, so he does a lot over there too.
Now that you've expanded to a 4th region, are you looking forward to holding all 4, or do you think you're going to be caught up in some double declares here soon?
You know what's crazy? So shout out to Kylan a little bit. I know we had our like differences back then as far as like we would do triple decks, quad deck stuff. This is cringe stuff that no one wants to do, right? He hasn't really. None of us have really done that. So that was nice. I talked to him. I reached out to him. I said, "Yo, let's not do this. Let's have fun. Let's work on our own rosters and do this the right way." So hopefully nobody goes that route. I think this server is. I think LD is currently the best server in the game. So like I'm not even trolling. A lot of these guys that like came from East are saying these wars are fun and like the wars are balanced. Like the tier 1 companies wars are maybe a little bit unbalanced. Like us, Gorilla Town, Hideout, and Outcast. Like I'd say we're probably like the more longer rosters, but people working on their company now have some really fun and like good wars, and they care about their people. They work on their people, so I think this server is for sure the best. Really nice.
Thank you again for taking the time to stop and talk to me. Is there anything else that you might like to say to the citizens of Eternum?
Yeah, if I can shout out a couple of people, I guess. Obviously, shout out to everybody making this server really fun. It genuinely is really fun. Gorilla Town guys, if you guys really were missing people, let's. I don't want to. Personally, as me as leadership, I don't want to deck on you guys. Take territories. I could care less about gold. I want to care about like a good server health. But as far as shouting people out, Jay Perry, thank you for the slot. What else? We got shout out Natto, basically Bad Bunny. Play, he's really cute. You check him out on Twitch. A lot of other people, yeah. Thank you everybody for soldiering up on our side.
Earlier in Morningdale, Dog Down forces managed to keep Commit from capturing the final flag inside the fort. KOTT was there to discuss the outcome after the fight. Congratulations on your victory here in Morningdale, managing to hold off in the final moments yet again. A long fight outside along the river, and then they finally get inside where you skirmished for the final 5 to 6 minutes. Care to take us through any pivotal moments out there that you thought might have been the difference?
Yeah, so, I mean, honestly, like, our point team was just, like, eating them up, like, eating them for lunch. I think our kill squad and our decks were just really doing a good job of focusing healers. And then we had a couple medium groups like mine that were tasked with basically running straight at decks. So that's not something you want to do as a bruiser, but something you got to do sometimes. We just did a good job of pushing them off our road. Honestly, the same thing happened again that happened to us last time. They kind of flooded in from like our road off of respawn. We had so many groups kind of flexing around, just kind of like running around. And then after they pushed into our road heavy, their point team basically pushed in from top right and just basically just stuffed us. And then they had such good control of our road that our respawns weren't able to get to point without burning basically everything that they had. So they did a good. I mean, it was still a really good war. Honestly, like a lot of us come from East, and like it's fairly rare to have just like back to back wars with a company like this, and just have such good wars. So it's actually really refreshing.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like you've been enjoying yourself over the last couple nights with them. But turning to tomorrow night, do you think you're going to be able to have an enjoyable experience with the Forces of Outcasts down in Reekwater?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Honestly, I don't really know. It's hard to say. I mean, they have really good players, but honestly, like our roster has just grown and grown and grown as like friends of ours and friends and friends and friends of friends start hearing about just like the way that the wars are going out here. They're getting really interested. I don't know. I think we're making good moves. I think if nothing else, it should be a competitive war. And if it's not a competitive war, then we'll have a lot to look at and figure out what we need to do better.
An unfortunate breach in Restless Shore last night as the corruption forces were able to disrupt hamlet infrastructure in Moon Bay. Citizens are encouraged to participate in repairs today as the sun keeps the afternoon free of corruption for the time being. Because after the sun goes down, it's going to be another busy night as the corruption return to rise up across 40% of the island. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant converts of Outcasts assail the Marauders of Dogged Down for control of the Master Fishing Delta region of Reekwater. As reported on earlier by KOTT News, the Outcasts successfully declared their intention to battle for Reekwater as they continue their pilgrimage to find their missing legendary hero. Dogged Down forces on the heels of their conflict last night in Morningdale have a lot of pent-up aggression they want to get out against this known foe they've yet to truly fight. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Outcasts break through the gates in the final minutes and capture the Reekwater Keep. KOTT News were in Far Harbor when the Zealots won and spoke to them en route to City Hall. Congratulations on your victory here in Reekwater, into the fort, and in the final moments taking it down through the B gate. Would you care to take us through the decision-making that got you in there and got the flag captured?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, John. Well, being the shot caller tonight, I had a lot of pressure on me. Definitely going against Apples. He's a very well-renowned shot caller himself, so it was a battle of the shot callers tonight. And with all humility, John, I have the army behind me to take control of the space and the places that we need to take control of. You know, it's that composition and the people who listen to the comms who really make all the difference. So I'm going to go ahead and give the credit to them. I think we played smart. We just played a little bit better in our timing. We actually had the point to 99%. I called a 50-50 dice roll to get everyone in. And they ended up wiping us on respawn, so props to them for making it extended, giving themselves a second chance. But in the end, we played smarter and harder, and we turned out the victors today.
Excellent. You mentioned a couple of people, but you didn't give them any name. Anybody in particular that you might want to credit tonight who stood out in their performance?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You already know the answer to that one. Panda Uchiha, always #1. So he's still around somewhere. I don't know what land he's running off to, but without him, we're nothing. So, yeah, gang shit. Exactly.
Excellent work by the Invasion Response Squad last night, defending all 4 regions flawlessly and leaving today carefree for chores. But lest you forget their tireless efforts, volunteers should sign up to defend the hamlets in Greyvale and Pridewind tonight. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. With special thanks to the craft services crew. If you'd like to support KOTT News, Patreon is currently the best way. Tonight, the Syndicate members of PK Warband assail the Marauders of Gorilla Town for control of the secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. PK Warband with the late night submission on the heels of the dramatic exchange in Reekwater, perhaps strategizing to catch the Marauders deflated and off guard. Gorilla Town's once expanding empire has been reduced to the mosh pit, so unless they want to become a group of nomadic attackers, they'll have to defend against this returning foe. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.